You're Shifting Gears with Alan Bailey.
I really enjoy the smell of burnt rubber and race fuel in the morning. Sue me.
Whether it's NASCAR, IndyCar, NHRA drag racing, or AMA Supercross, we've got it.
I'm going to be unapologetic. I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm going to tell it like it is, whether you like it or not. Get over it.
Grab a gear and let's go.
Well, it's time to go already? Really?
You're Shifting Gears on ARN. Here's Alan Bailey.
New day, new time, new show name, new field, similar intro, and definitely the same old host. Welcome on in. It's Shifting Gears right here on ARN, the Motorsports Authority. I'm Alan Bailey. You can catch me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Alan Bailey. Use the hashtag ARNRace in order to get in on this conversation as well. Want to get your opinion because, believe it or not, and it's in our mission statement that I'm going to spell out for you loud and clear right here and right now. The purpose of Shifting Gears is not to create another NASCAR show or another IndyCar show or a Supercross show or even a drag racing show. No, the point of this program, Shifting Gears, is to take a shift away from what you normally think a normal show would be. Put it in your hands, and we want to talk about what you would like to talk about. We're heavily going to rely on our Twitter, our Instagram, our Facebook feeds, as well as our email comments as well, because believe it or not, that is where we will be getting a majority of our content. We're still going to do interviews, we're still going to do highlights, we're still going to talk about it, and yes, I'm still going to answer emails and tweets and things from fans who generally are nice and have good-hearted questions with good comments and good opinions, strong opinions, and occasionally I'm going to get a racist bigot whipped in there. You know what I'm talking about, Clipper Nation. Glad to see that guy's out, by the way. I approve. I very much approve. So, the main purpose of this show is to give you a voice. I don't want to talk NASCAR. I don't want to talk IndyCar. I don't want to talk drag racing. I do not want to talk anything at all. I want to talk about what you want to talk about, whatever that is. I'm hoping that we can talk about any and all of these things and not just sprinkle it in here and there into the racing program, but I have a feeling that it is not really going to be that. How are we going to start the show every single week? Well, I could go ahead and tell you, well, we're going to start our show with a newscast, but no, instead I'm going to talk about one thing and one thing only, and that is our hot topics. We start with this, the big story that everybody's talking about. If you don't know about this, you're an idiot. You might be. Ryan Villopoto winning the inaugural race at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, wrapping up his 4th consecutive championship. Oh yeah, if you missed it, by the way, it might have sounded a little something like this.
This will be his 40th career win. What a night, and what a way to do it for Ryan Villopoto by winning the prestigious first ever race in MetLife Stadium. Ryan Villopoto is a 4-time Monster Energy Supercross champion. He's done it 4 in a row.
Yeah, he did. And check this out. Not only did he actually win the thing, but he actually won the main event out there. Kind of cool, doing the whole double sweep. He was being very greedy, didn't want to see anyone in victory lane. You can't blame the guy one bit. We'll talk about it, talk about his legacy, and can he do it for a 5th time in a row? We'll break it down. Plus, yeah, if you missed it, Ryan Villopoto sat down with, kind of a big guy in Supercross. This guy named Jerry McGrath. Yeah, that guy. That guy. He sat down with him and actually talked with him. We'll have that a little later on in the program. Ryan Hunter Ray picked up the win at Barber Motorsports Park in IndyCar over the weekend. Dominating win. He was up near the front all day, and when a late race caution came out, the race ended under caution, but he still walked away with the checkered flag. Now, in NHRA, believe it or not, we saw history almost be made. Erica Enders Stevens picked up the win in Pro Stocks in Houston over the weekend, the 99th career main event win for a woman in NHRA drag racing. Who will hit number 100? We'll talk about it this hour. Plus, Antron Brown picked up the win in Top Fuel, Robert Hyde picked up the win in Funny Car, and in the world of NASCAR, Joey Logano picking up the win in Richmond, and in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, which, by the way, ended very, very, very early on Saturday morning after a lengthy rain delay, it was Kevin Harvick picking up the win in Richmond in the Nationwide race. And in NASCAR/IndyCar news, Juan Pablo Montoya and, yes, Penske Racing announced that Montoya will race a third Penske Ford in at least 2 races in 2014 in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season, starting at, get this, of all the tracks that he can race on, what's he doing? Well, he's racing, obviously, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and he's racing June 15th at the Michigan International Speedway in the number 12 car for Penske Racing. Is this his forte back into NASCAR? Woo! Fans aren't so happy about it. We'll break it all down. That update brought to you by our friends at Apollo Aesthetics. Log on to apolloaesthetics.com right now in order to request a quote to build your brand new website. You can get that quote for free. Go ahead and log on to apolloaesthetics.com. They'll help you with everything. So, lots of interesting stuff on the docket. The thing that everybody seems to be talking about, I talked about it heavily on the Pit Pass on Monday, is the fact that Casey Mears took a very, very kind of jab from Marcus Ambrose. Yeah, it was a good one. He was definitely feeling it. He actually caught up with NASCAR.com's Alan Cavena on Sunday at the Jimmy Johnson 5K run out there in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he was definitely talking about the jab and everything that happened afterward. It's Casey Mears.
You know, some things happened out on the track that weren't real happy with. I guess both of us weren't, right? We were talking, and it turned into not talking at the end. So, I mean, things happened. He got me pretty good, you know, with that shot. And you know, things happen. Everybody gets mad after those races when everybody's trying so hard. And you know, it's a passionate sport, obviously, and it's tough when you first get out of the car. You know, when you don't have a good chance to cool off, it escalates pretty quick, obviously. Well, I don't think it's something you just forget. You know what I mean? So obviously, that's kind of where it sits.
Nah, that is code for it's not over yet. We're going to see more of this. That's what I'm predicting anyway. We'll see what happens, but ultimately, drivers never forget. And yeah, there's always going to be a fight in the garage area. NASCAR, any sport for that matter, can't back down from that one. That's just part of racing, in my opinion. So get over it. Like, plain and simple, get over it. We'll see if that drama carries on over. I tend to think it will. Oh yeah, I said it. Now what? Ooh, bad. Anyway, lots of stuff to get to over the course of the next hour. Going to talk about women racing in motorsports in general. Why has the NHRA been kind of an epicenter, and why are they leading the pack right now as far as women in motorsports? 99 victories in main event wins by women. Erica Ender-Stevers, the latest in Pro Stocks out in Houston over the weekend. What does this mean for the NHRA? What does it mean for racing in general? Is NASCAR going to catch up? They have Danica Patrick, but IndyCar, are we gonna get to a point where we see a woman seriously competing and contending for a win every single week, or is this something that we're still a little far off? And what can we as race fans do in order to help that progress? We're gonna break it all down. Plus, Montoya heading back to NASCAR. What caused this, and what exactly is the beef? What's the beef, if you will, with this situation? Was it just Montoya wants to get his fixins back in NASCAR, or was it a sponsor thing? I tend to think the latter. We'll break it down and get your opinion. I want to remind you, we encourage your participation in this program at The Alan Bailey on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, use the hashtag ARNRace in order to get in on this conversation. You can also send your tweets and comments to the station's Facebook page in general, at ARNRace on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We're all over the place. I love it, baby. I love it. So we'll go ahead and we'll step aside here for the very first time. When we return, we'll talk a little NASCAR, and yes, we're going to definitely get into women in motorsports. It's kind of the theme of today's program in honor of Erica Ender-Stevers winning Pro Stocks and the 99th by a woman. And I gotta ask, is this one of those things that we need to make a big deal about, or is it just put on the fire suit, you become a driver? We'll get your take when we return. You're shifting gears right here on ARN, the Motorsports Authority.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Hey guys, this is your buddy Lugnuts, and if you're looking to build a great website, then look no further than Apollo Aesthetics. Art and functionality merged into web design. It doesn't get any better than Ruben Asuna. Don't believe me? Check out ApolloAesthetics.com. That's Apollo, AESTHETICS.com. Apollo Aesthetics, the official web builder of Lugnuts Radio.
What is one NASCAR Unites wristband capable of doing? It can inspire a child to go farther in school. It can construct a brand new playground for kids who've never had one. It can introduce a child with a serious illness to his or her favorite NASCAR driver.
I'm Tony Stewart. I wear my band to Unite for Kids. Band together with me by logging on to www.nascar.com/unites to pledge your support.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network. Shifting Gears on ARN is presented by Stash Feed. Get the feed. Log on to stashfeed.com, your daily manly feed. You're Shifting Gears on ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Here's Alan Bailey.
Hey, that's me. Hey, go figure. Shifting gears right here on ARN, the Motorsports Authority, at the Alan Bailey on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also use the hashtag ARNRace in order to get in on this conversation. Something that we're going to be talking about a little bit later on, women in motorsports. Erica Ender-Stevens picking up the win in Houston. In pro stocks over the weekend, in drag racing and HRA drag racing, the 99th victory for a woman in a main event. What does it mean for drag racing overall, and what exactly does it mean for motorsports, and is it even a big deal? And we'll break it all down in a little bit. Right now, I want to talk about something that really is more, I guess, money news. It has to do with the economy and this kind of thing, but it also has a minor impact in racing, and I want to get your take on this. Let me tell you, you can log on to arnrace.com in order to check out this story right now, but the story is this. Toyota Motor Sales USA announced this week that they will pack up and move their headquarters from sunny Southern California to Texas after nearly 60 years in the Los Angeles area. The move will take place over the next 3 years and will affect about 4,000 marketing, managing, and communication jobs. Expect to move Toyota's new campus to Palo, Texas, right outside of Dallas. And there are approximately 2,000 employees from Torrance, California, 1,000 employees from Toyota Motor Engineering and Manufacturing in North America, and there are a number of employees located in New York, New York. So, honestly, this is interesting news. Toyota's breaking ground on their new campus later this year. It's expected to be completed by late 2016, early 2017. Why? Ultimately, why the change? Most of the jobs affected from Toyota's locations are administrative positions, although there are about 300 production engineering jobs that will be relocated to the plant as well in Georgetown, and another 250 positions that are going to be moving to the new facility built at Toyota's Technical Center in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Additionally, around 1,000 employees, give or take, from Toyota's financial services in Torrance will also be moved to Texas, but not until 2017. For the most part, you're taking people and you're moving them around, but it's still going to affect people in general. About 2,000 people, roughly, are going to be out of a job by this time 2017 rolls around, in theory. So it begs the question, why? Why? Well, there's a number of different theories behind it. Why? Why is the main thing. You look at it. Toyota builds the Tundra and the Tacomas in Texas already. The Corolla's built in Michigan. The Camry and the Avalon are built in Kentucky. And the engines are built in Alabama. it's pretty much all just a hop and a skip and a jump away from the Dallas area for the most part. Toyota is going to become the second Japanese automaker to flee Southern California for a more business-friendly environment. Nissan packed up and left LA for Nashville about 8 years ago, taking about 1,500 jobs with them. And Nissan left California for Tennessee. Toyota's executives swore that they would never, ever leave California when Nissan jumped ship over to Tennessee. Very interesting. Honda, check this out. Honda has their North American headquarters in the LA area. They're actually mulling over the idea of moving to Ohio. Yeah. So why exactly is this happening? There's a handful of other auto manufacturers that are remaining in the SoCal area. You have Kia, Hyundai, and Mazda with their headquarters in nearby Orange County, which frankly is right here, right next to LA, less than an hour away. So you really have to stop and think, why is Toyota doing this? This makes no sense. Well, it's frankly to save money in the long run. Yeah, it's going to cost you a boatload to basically ship everybody from California to Texas. However, you look at all of these facilities that make all of the parts, they're all located more or less around Texas. And when they want all of these parts and everybody to kind of come together, they have to go from this area near Texas to California. Plus, Texas is a lot cheaper to build it. It's a lot cheaper of a state. The minimum wage is lower than California. It's you have more people that live in Texas because it's physically a larger state. It's a very different atmosphere out in Texas. Some people love it, some people hate it. I don't have a problem with it. I've never, been in Texas for a long period of time. I've never lived in Texas, but honestly, people tell me you either love it or you hate it with a passion. There's no real middle ground on Texas. And that's not even the point. They're looking at it from a business standpoint. And from a business standpoint, it's a lot cheaper to ship an engine from nearby Kentucky to Texas than it is to ship from Kentucky to California, Southern California at that. So it just makes more sense. It really, truly does. No, I don't want any rumors starting that the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana is closing, or that the the Irwindale Speedway in Irwindale, California is closing. I don't want to hear those rumors. I really don't, because I literally just made it up right now. Literally. Just made it up. That's like me saying MetLife Stadium is closing for Supercross racing after they just raced their first race here, even though they have a contract. That's basically what the allegedness is coming from, if it does come from that. I'm talking in circles now. I'm going to shut up. Fooled you. Anyway, it makes for interesting conversation. This one coming to us on Twitter from, I just saw it. I lost it. Darn it. This one is coming from... Oh, this one's coming from at NHRA Phil. Alan, get real. Toyota just wants to spend less money. Well, yeah. It isn't obvious. That's what it is. That's completely and totally what it is. There's no rhyme or reason that a business wants to save money. Why is that shocking? People act like it's blasphemy. Oh, they want to save money. Oh, come on, get real. Just calm down. Seriously, calm down, because it's ludicrous. It truly is. Another topic I want to get into here is I want to jump ship here over to IndyCar racing, talk some IndyCar racing. Drivers were out at the new IndyCar road course this week. In particular, a lot of attention is being paid to the fact that you have two drivers in particular that are former champs basically going through rookie exams. It happens. You have to do that after a certain period of time. That's the norm. That's the norm. Kurt Busch is one of them. He's a NASCAR champ. Yes. He's a very, very, very well-established NASCAR championship driver. Not in IndyCar. In IndyCar, he is a rookie. He has never, ever raced a race in IndyCar. Not one. Not a single one. Yet people are freaking out about he's not a rookie, he doesn't need to... Relax. Relax. Woosah. Because people are freaking out for absolutely no reason here. Rookie Kurt Busch took the laps, and so, oh, by the way, did that 1995 champ, Jacques Villeneuve. They went through Indy 500 orientation. You know why? I mean, do you really know why? It's been 14 years since Kurt Busch was last called a rookie, but he's a rookie because he's never driven in there. Villeneuve, basically, he hasn't been behind the wheel of an Indy car for so many years, so he has to go through rookie orientation. Oh, and by the way, they pass with flying colors, so stop freaking out, because it's truly not that big of a deal. But you look at everything, IndyCar drivers unified today, saying that the new road course at Indianapolis is a whole lot better than the old one. Heck, they couldn't even find anything to complain about. They had a 6-hour test session on the 14-turn course. It's about 2.5 miles, give or take, and virtually every driver that took laps at Indianapolis raved about the course and praised everything, from the curbs to the turns to the chicanes. Everything was really, really, really impressive. Scott Dixon, quote, "I'm impressed. The track was just too much fun today. It's a demanding circuit. The cars all seem very close, so I think it's going to create some fantastic racing. The sessions, especially 7, 8, 9, 10, really keep you on your toes." The sections, not sessions. I misspoke right there in quoting Scott Dixon. Scott Dixon's been on this program before, and he told you it's all about rhythm when it comes to road course racing and getting into your groove. That he told us that when he was on earlier this season with us. And honestly, it's one of those things that just makes you go, yeah, you need to get into a rhythm, just like anything. The track had a $5 million plus off-season facelift, and they've changed everything. It looks so much better. Physically, it looks like a new racetrack. It looks like it was newly built, and for $5 million, it darn well better be, because you're spending some big dough. So, honestly, it makes you stop and go, well, what really has changed? I don't know, well, they've really just redone the paving. They redid a couple of the turns. They made everything smoother. They repaved everything. They put new grass in. They put new gravel pits in certain areas. Overall, it's just a new track. It's got a brand new racetrack type feel. And they honestly were excited about it. The drivers are excited about it. Now, Indianapolis practice begins on May 11th with the marquee race of the IndyCar season set for May 25th. The one thing that the road course race won't have is record speeds. Remember that, because Dixon and the 2012 Indy pole winner Ryan Briscoe are the only drivers to top 126 miles per hour on Wednesday. It's just something you have to realize here. This isn't going to be this isn't a feed. Do not equal good racing. They don't. It doesn't. You need to slow down maybe a little bit in order to get those cars side by side, and that's definitely what we've been seeing so far out of this Indianapolis road course. To see the video and to see the photos and everything that's coming out of Indianapolis, if you want to check them out, you can go ahead and log on to ARNRace.com and check out some of the photos up on ARNRace.com and also on our Instagram page at ARNRace. Honestly, it's very, very, very cool. Graham Rahal said earlier today, quote, "I love it. I had a blast. It's probably a little better than I expected. I thought it would be fun, but this could be my favorite course already, and we just got here," unquote. It's Graham Rahal. The drivers, when they're this happy, you better well darn be happy, because there's something about whenever you have drivers really that are all coming forward and all saying, "We love this, we like this, we want this," it's a good thing. Trust me. It's a very, very, very good thing. And the fact that it's happening in Indianapolis warms my heart, because ever since the F1 debacle at that racetrack almost 10 years ago now, I've had kind of a bitter taste in my mouth about that racetrack. We always go back there, and I always think, Indy, it's either going to be really good or really bad. It was going to be either or. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Honestly, the drivers seem like they're happy, and so do you. This one coming from Dolomite on Twitter. Alan, love the new track. I was out there today. Great track, great facility, looks brand new. Can't wait for May. Hashtag let's go. I agree. This is going to be a good May. I can honestly feel it, because honestly, tomorrow is the first day of May. May 1st is tomorrow. We're on April 30th here. In NASCAR, you have Talladega, you have Kansas, and then you have the Charlotte races. And to see Kurt Busch attempt the double is something that I've been waiting for a number of years. And I'm not saying, I'm a Kurt Busch fan, can't wait to see him. No, I've wanted to see a driver attempt the double for many years now, and the fact that we get it with Kurt Busch attempting it is perfect. It's awesome. I truly can't wait to see what Kurt's going to do, because he's in two extraordinarily competitive cars. He's an extraordinarily competitive driver. He's an extraordinarily good driver, championship winning driver. If anyone has a chance, Kurt does. And I honestly, truly believe he has a chance. We'll see what happens. We'll go ahead and we're going to step aside here. When we return, we'll talk a little Supercross action. And yes, we're going to get to our discussion a little bit later on about women in motorsports with Erica Enders-Stevens' Pro Stock victory in Houston. She gave women their 99th career victory in a main event in drag racing. So it begs the question, with so many wins for women in drag racing, why are the numbers so low in every other form of motorsports? We'll break it on down when we return. Don't go anywhere. You're shifting gears right here on ARN.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Hey guys, this is your buddy Lugnuts, and if you're looking to build a great website, then look no further than Apollo Aesthetics. Art and functionality merged into web design. It doesn't get any better than Ruben Asuna. Don't believe me? Check out ApolloAesthetics.com. That's Apollo, AESTHETICS.com. Apollo Aesthetics, the official web builder of Lugnuts Radio.
Army Specialist Andrew Pike became paralyzed while serving in Iraq.
My injury was a gunshot wound to the left abdomen from a sniper. My first contact with paralyzed veterans was in Walter Reed.
Paralyzed veterans National Service Officer Michael Killen.
We try to reassure them what benefits are out there, try to educate them and take some of that stress away from them.
Right now I'm going back to school to earn a degree, and I'm just spending time with my wife and child.
You can help our paralyzed veterans. Visit pva.org.
Hi, I'm Jeff Hammond alongside NASCAR driver David Reagan.
When it comes to tire safety, nothing is more important than your tire's air pressure.
Just like a pit stop, checking your air pressure takes just a few moments.
And those few moments will not only keep you and your family safe on the road, it can also help save you money.
Properly inflated tires can improve gas mileage, which will save you money at the pump.
So be tire smart and make sure your tires are properly inflated.
Learn more at betiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
And now it's time for a brand new feature as we check out our top 5 audio transmissions from Richmond. We start with number 5.
Have a good one tonight. I'm sitting up here with the committee. Got the big Logano here with me tonight. The big Mrs. Logano here tonight. We got everybody. My wife's here, so we got to put it on tonight. We're on it. We got a good one for you.
Number 4.
It takes us about 40 laps to catch him. We're not going to have nowhere near that long. So I love this place when we're good. A tough place when you're not. Pretty damn tough when you are.
Number 3.
Oil fire, bad. Bad. Everything caught on fire. The brake ducts caught on fire. The hoses are caught on fire. It melted the nose. Boyer's on fire. Fire.
Number 2.
If we shot the inside lane, we'll win this race. All the way, all the way. Race him to 24th outside. I need you to race him around the corner. Race him around the corner. He's out there. He's going to get him. He's going to get you. If 24 don't want to beat us, but I think he did.
So we're going to have to check that, because I think I'm third, but Junior thinks he is. Smart. Good job, boys. Good job. Let's go get this thing, Jeff Gordon. 22 is going to be outside here, so we got to get him cleared.
Number 1.
It ain't over till it's over, baby! Woo! Awesome job, man. Way to wheel that thing. I think you're on the frame rails, bro. Check that out.
Shifting Gears on ARN is presented by Apollo Aesthetics. Log on to Apollo Aesthetics to start building your new website today. You're Shifting Gears on ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Here's Alan Bailey.
Those were some of the moments right there from Richmond in NASCAR over the weekend. Joey Logano picking up the victory in NASCAR in Richmond, second of 2014. People are saying he's virtually locked into the chase, but he really isn't. He's not officially locked into the chase. No one's officially locked into the chase at this point. They still need to finish in a certain position in the point standings by the time Richmond rolls around later this season to end the regular season and begin the chase. That's something everybody's kind of overlooking. I'm not. No one's in this chase. Nobody's locked into this chase. Nobody's even virtually locked into this chase because it ain't over till it's over. I'm a student of that saying. I've seen it way too many times in racing come back and bite you in the butt, and I'm not going to be the guy that stands up and goes, my bad, you guys got me. Oh, the game over. Because trust me, it's never over till it's over. It's not. No one can convince me otherwise. So Joey Logano wins the race, virtually not locked in to the chase yet. Just saying, guys. It's the world we live in. On that note, what we'll do here is we're going to go ahead and shift gears again. We're going to talk a little Supercross action. In case you're living under a rock, Ryan Villopoto picking up not only the win at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, the very first at MetLife Stadium for Supercross in the 450s, but also the championship. Locked up his fourth consecutive title. Yeah. This is kind of a big deal if you didn't know. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is I want to let you listen to what Ryan Villopoto was saying, and believe it or not, he might be more excited about the fact he won the Toyota Challenge and got to go home with a brand new Toyota Tundra than the fact he actually won the title. It's Ryan Villopoto after the race on Saturday.
You know, it'll set in eventually, I'm sure. It's definitely a big accomplishment. I'm just glad it's over. You know, it's been a long season. It's been a hard season. You know, so I'm just glad that you know, we were able to finish it off this way and with a win. You know, it's just been a great season so far. You know, that's probably at this point right now what I'm more excited about. I guess that's a little sad to say, but you know, it's pretty cool to you know, win a truck. I've never won a truck, so you know, Toyota being involved with the sport, it's you know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I'm with Ryan on this one. I've never won a truck. I've never won a vehicle. I wouldn't mind it. Heck, the most expensive thing that I've ever won is one of those personalized single-serve coffee makers, which, by the way, awesome. I like that. I'm into that thing. It's awesome. However, I don't have the regular Keurig. I have the coffee bean one, which only uses coffee bean brand ones, which, you know, when was the last time you saw a coffee bean anywhere? Nobody sells that stuff, ever. So I'm always running out, and it's very frustrating, and I get very frustrated with it. Just saying, I need to find me a coffee bean. There's one here in town, I just never go. You know why? I like Starbucks. Sue me. Oh well, it was free. It's a very cool gift nonetheless, and I use it as often as I can, which isn't as often as I would like to. What are you going to say? So honestly, that's the most expensive thing I ever won, and I remember winning that thing at a raffle at a company Christmas party, and I'm thinking, I won it! Me! I won the coffee machine! And then they went ahead and wheeled out the big prizes, which were 65-inch flat screen TVs, smart TVs with the computer built in and the remote and the no wires and the mounts for the TV with the surround sound system, and I kind of went, you want the coffee machine back? I can pour hot water through beans on my own if you give me the TV. I wouldn't mind watching Supercross on that. It's really cool. So yeah, Ryan picked up the truck on Saturday, and oh, by the way, the hardware for not only the win in MetLife Stadium for the 450 Supercross race out there, but oh yeah, also the championship trophy. Now, Supercross let him hold it and take pictures with it, but they will officially present the trophy to him on Saturday in Las Vegas at Sam Boyd Stadium for the hang on, I gotta get all raspy for this. It's the championship round for Supercross. That's how you have to say it. Supercross. Because you need to be raspy and deep and raspy voice. Supercross. Supercross. I'm giving myself probably a very bad disease using my voice like that. I don't like throat cancer. I don't want it. You can have it. Whoever has it. I apologize if you have it. So it brings up the question. You look at really Ryan Villopoto and, oh, by the way, the other guy who won 4 titles straight. What was his name? Jeremy McGrath? Yeah, that guy. They sat down last week and actually talked about Ryan Villopoto's season, his legacy, racing in general, and where these two rank, basically. And yeah, it was McGrath who was basically doing the interview. So the interview is very rough around the edges, let's just say, but it's very entertaining. Jeremy McGrath and Ryan Villopoto, both 4-time Supercross champions.
I'm sitting here with Ryan Villopoto, and we're on the eve of the Seattle Supercross. And I want to ask him a couple questions about what it's like to be closing in on his 4th consecutive Monster Energy Supercross Championship, and see if that's any different than any of your past ones. Probably quite a bit different than your first one. But what's it feel like to be closing in on number 4 in a row?
I mean, it doesn't feel good just yet. There's as you know, there's a lot of stress and weight on your shoulders to not make a mistake and to keep the ball rolling in the right direction. So basically, if it happens or when it happens, it's just going to be like a big sigh of relief. And I guess on one hand, it sounds pretty bad that you're not just jumping up and down and just like so happy. Inside, you're happy, but you're just more or less actually glad it's over because of the stress and the pressure and the weight of teams and sponsors and everybody on top of you. It makes it tough to, what are we on, our 15th round straight? Every weekend show up and go racing, and racing at a high level.
At what point did you line up and look down the line and go, it's my time to win, and I'm going to win?
I think you're arrogant if you ever line up on the line and say, this is my time, and I'm winning, and I'm going to keep on winning.
Well, at some point you got to get out there and you got to take it.
But I always line up knowing that there is a very high chance that with a decent start, the win is very achievable for me.
Yeah.
And who's going to give you a little bit, put up more of a fight or this or that, who you kind of got to watch, who you don't, and things like that. And you attack them all a little bit differently. For me, it hasn't been like years past where I've done all this winning. I've only won 4 times this year.
Yeah.
Consistency's been a huge part in where I'm at now. Obviously, plus the 4 race wins.
Yeah.
Being with kind of where the sport's going, each year someone from the lights class comes up and it gets a little bit thicker. The field gets definitely tougher. And then you have a lot of variables that start to come in. We've had a lot of very slippery tracks this year that have kind of made the field be a little bit closer. And that can happen this year, that can happen again next year, or the year after that we could have very tacky tracks, and then,
Yeah.
You never know. It's part of the sport.
Do you find yourself holding back at any times when you feel like, oh, I'm getting a little loose tonight?
I think obviously as I get older and as, this will I don't know, it's 5th or 6th year in the 450 class or whatever it is. I find myself definitely taking more time or really kind of picking and choosing when I'm going to maybe ride that edge more than others. And part of that reason is maybe it's hurt me this year a little bit with potentially getting a couple more wins. I wouldn't say a lot more, but 1 or 2 more. Being that I'm getting a little bit older and smarter and, you know, just more mature, and knowing that consistency is better than a bunch of race wins and huge mistakes.
With all that, you've said it already, there's a lot of extra stress. Are you still having fun with it? Still like it?
It's a hard question. Yes and no. It becomes a job for sure. I know everybody's got to work, but it's tough. I mean, I like winning. You know, so
let's just say this: if you were 2nd or 3rd, it wouldn't be nearly as much fun.
That's probably true.
So, I always thought of it like, hey, if you got to be here, you might as well be the winner, right?
That's a good way to think about it. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's good hanging with you.
All right.
Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
Congratulations on your success.
Yeah. No, it's been awesome.
I'm a huge fan, and everyone out there is a huge fan. So
hopefully, I can keep the 2 looking good out there. You know.
That's right. You're doing a good job.
All right.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. Ryan Villopoto, he's looking pretty good out there. Yeah, the guy knows what he's doing. He wrapped up his 4th consecutive title right there. And I don't know, the difference of opinion right there with starts and really just going for it and going in with the mentality of, oh, I got this. Very interesting. A little telling to me, to be very a little frank. So, it's interesting to really see where they stand on that and really kind of wrap your head around that they are different but similar in some aspects. Both of our 4-time champs in Supercross, both similar, both different in some ways. A very interesting little interview right there, if you ask me. So something that I want to get to here is I want to talk a little bit about women in motorsports, and we're going to be talking about that in our final segment. But right now what I want to talk about is Montoya, Juan Pablo Montoya. He announced that he's going to be racing 2 races for Penske in NASCAR, believe it or not. He races full-time in IndyCar for Penske, signed that contract this year, but now Juan Pablo Montoya is returning to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in 2014 for 2 races for Team Penske. The team made the announcement official earlier today. He's going to be driving the number 12 Ford Fusion in the June 15th Michigan race, and again for the Brickyard in July. Montoya has 250-plus career starts in NASCAR Sprint Cup in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. 2 wins. He's got 25-ish top 5s and just under 60 top 10s. All of his races were for Chip Ganassi, with every start but 1 in the number 42. He was a full-time driver in the Sprint Cup Series from 2007 until 2013, jumping over into IndyCar in 2014. Hasn't seen the success that he once had this year so far, but keep in mind we're only a handful of races in, so I'm not too critical on Montoya's effort so far. Again, in case you're aware or not familiar with NASCAR, Ganassi announced late last season that Larson would pilot the number 42 in 2014. Montoya drives for Roger Penske now in the IndyCar Series, drives the number 2 Verizon car actually in the IndyCar Series, and he's going to be sponsored by, I'm hearing it's SKF is going to be his sponsor, and we're also going to see Penske driver Ryan Blaney racing in Kansas in May and Talladega in October in that number 12 car in the Cup Series. So lots of moving around. Why is Montoya jumping back into NASCAR? Frankly, money. There's a lot more money in NASCAR than there is in IndyCar, and I honestly think Montoya kind of got used to the income that he saw with NASCAR, even though he was running near the back and just really not competitive. I think this is Montoya going, yeah, I like IndyCar, but it doesn't pay as much as NASCAR does. NASCAR's payouts are higher, frankly. The competition is more stout, a lot more stout, and honestly, it's one of those things where you have to think about your family. Now, the Montoyas, they're not starving. They will never starve. They are set for life. But when he stops racing, you have to stop and think, well, what exactly are you going to do? You look at Montoya, he's not a kid anymore. He's, 38. He's, I don't want to say in the latter parts of his career, but he realistically has 10-ish years, give or take, until he hangs it up. Maybe more. I don't know what his plans are. He could hang it up in the next 2 seasons, frankly. We're not sure. But ultimately, Montoya has about a decade left in racing if he chooses to go that far. Maybe less, maybe more. I'm just speculating at this point. But he has about a decade left in the car, and you have to stop and think, how much is enough? He's been racing for a while. He's a veteran in any series. And honestly, you got to think, I kind of want to spend time with the family. I want to enjoy the fact that I've built up this wealth. I want to enjoy it now. And I want to do it with my family. And Montoya's thinking, I think, with his pocketbook. He's thinking, okay, this is going to be fun, but it's going to be the money that I set aside and just set aside for retirement or for a rainy day. Because ultimately, once he hangs up the driver's helmet, whether it's in 10 years or 15 years, he's still going to live for another 30-ish years, give or take. I don't know how long he's going to be on this earth, so I can't tell you that, but you have to figure 30, 40 years in retirement with no income for the most part. NASCAR drivers, IndyCar drivers, any driver really, they don't have severance packages. They don't have retirement money that builds up. Now, some of them get creative with investing, and they own businesses, and they have money other ways, but really the income that you're used to having is not there in the long run. And that's something that I think Montoya is thinking about, and I think that his jump back into NASCAR is for 2 reasons. 1, he wants to build up his pocketbook, and 2, he wants to see how competitive those Penske Fords are in NASCAR, I think, because for Montoya, I think he likes the schedule of open wheel. I don't think he likes the paycheck of open wheel. I think he loves the paycheck of NASCAR, which is why he did it. And I think he honestly is thinking about money. I mean, I wish, that there was a greater reason. I think he's also a competitor, and I think he wants to win in NASCAR. I think he has a lot of unfinished business in NASCAR, especially at Indianapolis. That's why Indy is one of the racetracks. And, oh, by the way, that's why Michigan just so happens to be one of the racetracks that he's picking. A warm-up race before the Brickyard, maybe? Yeah, that's what he's doing. Yeah. It's one of those things where I think Montoya, if he's in a competitive car, he has a legitimate shot at winning the Brickyard 400. He's almost done it twice now. He's had competitive cars, but flat tire, miscue on pit road have taken those chances away. I think he wants that race more than anything. I think if he gets that race, he can hang it up and say, okay, I've done my thing in NASCAR. I won Brickyard in NASCAR. I'm good to go. I've done what I wanted to do. I can get into IndyCar, and I can just race in IndyCar in the twilight of my career and then hang up the helmet whenever I want, and I've had a complete career, period. Now, don't get me wrong. I think he wouldn't mind winning the championship, but I don't think that that's his realistic goal. I think he wants the Brickyard 400. And who wouldn't? Any driver wants to win Indianapolis, let alone a guy who has already won there in IndyCar, in the Indianapolis 500. So keep an eye on Montoya. I think we're going to see a lot more of him in NASCAR. I don't think it's done by any means necessary, but I think that these 2 races are just kind of a stepping stone to get used to it, to see if, hey, it's A, competitive car, and B, if I still have it, and if I still want to do this. If he has a great run in those 2 races in Michigan and in Indy in NASCAR, then maybe we can see him in more races. I don't think this is it. I think he's going to add on races, honestly, when if sponsorship can be found. I think he could, and I think he could definitely be competitive in any race that he races in those Penske Fords. Now, he doesn't have the chemistry and won't have the chemistry with his crew chief, but his crew chief isn't a slump by any means necessary. Greg Irwin, veteran crew chief, is going to be working with him, and honestly, since joining Penske Racing, Irwin's been very, very, very good. He has a bunch of wins in Nationwide, and he's competitive. I don't know. He's got a good crew chief behind him. He's going to have a good team. I think he's going to have a good car. I think he can legitimately contend We'll see what happens, though. Time will tell. We'll step aside here for the final time. When we return, we'll talk about women in NASCAR and women in motorsports, not just NASCAR. I have NASCAR on the brain. Go figure. We'll talk about women in NASCAR and in motorsports. I did it again. We'll talk about women in motorsports and why the NHRA is carrying the flag and leading the pack as far as women in victory lane in motorsports. Don't go anywhere. You're shifting gears.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Hey guys, this is your buddy Lugnuts, and if you're looking to build a great website, then look no further than Apollo Aesthetics. Art and functionality merged into web design. It doesn't get any better than Ruben Asuna. Don't believe me? Check out ApolloAesthetics.com. That's Apollo, AESTHETICS.com. Apollo Aesthetics, the official web builder of Lugnuts Radio.
Lobster, harvested from the cold, clear waters of Maine, is truly the world's ultimate white meat. It has a distinctive flavor that's both mild and slightly sweet, and is so easy to prepare. Maine lobster is good for you, too. It's one of the healthiest and leanest proteins available, containing less fats, calories, and cholesterol than beef, pork, or even the light meat of chicken. For exciting recipes, visit our website at mainelobsterpromo.com.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network. Shifting Gears on ARN is presented by Stash Feed. Get the feed. Log on to stashfeed.com, your daily manly feed. You're Shifting Gears on ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Here's Alan Bailey.
'Tis I am the Alan Bailey. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Alan Bailey. You can also use the hashtag ARNRace to get in on this conversation. Alan, you seriously think Montoya's after money? No. I thought he just loved the NASCAR crowd. Hashtag lies. Teachers told me. I like that one. That's a good one. That one coming to us on Twitter. I do think that, honestly, Montoya's in it for the money. I think he wants to win. That's priority. But I don't think he wants to go back to NASCAR because he loves NASCAR. I think personally that he disliked NASCAR, disliked the crowds, disliked the fact that he was the bad guy in NASCAR. He's not a bad guy. He honestly is a very good guy. He's a bit of a smartass, to be very frank. I've had a chance to talk to him off mic a handful of times, and he is a smartass. He carries himself in very high regard, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. He's a champion. He is a veteran in basically all forms of motorsports. He's raced in a lot of different series, and he knows what he's doing behind the wheel of these vehicles. So I don't see any problem with him carrying himself in high regards. I truly don't. I'll be perfectly honest, though. He was miserable in NASCAR, and not because, oh, I dislike NASCAR, oh, rednecks, la 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 la, and all the other things that everybody kind of associates with NASCAR, but instead it's the fact that, oh, by the way, I'm not winning. I'm not winning, I'm not winning, I'm not winning, I'm not winning, I'm not competitive, I'm not near the front, I'm near the back, I'm wrecking, I'm wrecking, I'm wrecking, I'm wrecking, mechanical failure, blown engine, blown engine, blown engine. You see how that gets tiring? You see how that gets exhausting? Imagine doing it when it's somebody who's providing a vehicle for you to race with, and imagine that everyone is saying, well, Montoya sucks. Well, Montoya's this. Well, Montoya's that. Meh. Just basically putting all the blame on the driver. And yeah, it's kind of coming up again this season with everybody going, well, you look at Kyle Larson. He's driving the same car, the same equipment. He's almost winning races. He's in the top 5. Meh. Yeah, but guess what? Two completely different drivers. They stepped up the program heavily. Ganassi did this year. So honestly, it's not a fair comparison, I think. I think that if you put them in very similar race cars by the same car manufacturer coming out of the same shop, then you can go ahead and compare them. But I think that comparing them at this point in time is simply unfair. And if you look at it, Kyle Larson did race a handful of races on the track in a car that was prepared by Ganassi. And guess what? Yep, He didn't do so hot. But this season, doing pretty good. It's not because, oh, we gave him the junk equipment or anything like that. It's simply because they were basically changing things up at Ganassi last season. Montoya was one of the changes, but it wasn't all driver. It was equipment. They stepped up their equipment, and their rookie driver goes out there and actually contends and competes. Go figure. What are you going to do? Now, we only have a little while longer here in the program, so I want to talk. This is something that I've honestly, want to talk about, and something that has been on my mind ever since this number was approaching. Erica Ender-Stevers picked up the victory in Super Stock out in Houston over the weekend in drag racing. The 99th victory for a woman in NHRA main event competition. Ultimately, what does this mean for the NHRA? You're seeing a lot of girl power on display in the Spring Nationals. You saw it on display over the weekend. You look at it, I mean, you had Alex DeJora in earlier this season in Funny Car, who's kind of leading the pack, as well as the Force's Courtney, who's kind of leading the pack. You have Erica Ender-Stevers in the Pro Stock category. This is a big... It's a big deal. We see women up near the front, women leading laps, women competing. Why is it that they're so good in NHRA? It's because the NHRA has embraced them. They're not slapping them with all of these things that make it difficult for them. And I'm not saying that NASCAR or IndyCar or anybody else is doing that. Far from it. They're welcoming them with open arms. It's just that the way that the NHRA does things and that the way that their particular racing is operated, it's much easier for a woman, I think, in order to compete in the NHRA. It is still extraordinarily difficult. It's extraordinarily difficult in any series to compete. But the fact that you have sponsors who are willing to step up and step behind and get behind women drivers is a big deal. In IndyCar, in NASCAR, in any other form of motorsports, it's still a challenge, especially in NASCAR. NASCAR sponsors see how much it is to price tag the season, and they think, well, we want somebody who's committed. We want somebody who knows what they're doing. And they go ahead and see a young Kyle Larson, for example, a kid who's come up through the ranks at a fairly young age, a kid who has won in everything he's driven, and a kid who's gearing towards the Cup Series pretty darn fast. They're going to go ahead and they're going to back him. Then you look at a driver like Joanna Long, who, by the way, has done the exact same thing that Kyle Larson has done. Started racing at a young age, started powering her ways through the chain of command, winning in everything she's been in at a very young age. Guess what? No sponsor came knocking on her door. You know why? She's a woman. She's unproven. Guys, you have to understand, we had our first African-American driver win a race for the first time in nearly 40 years, last season at Martinsville. This is something that we're still battling. It's something that NASCAR has to battle. It's something that every series has to battle. And ultimately, we have to realize that when you put on a driver's suit, it doesn't matter if you're black, if you're white, male, female, or a zebra. It truly doesn't matter. Your ability to control that race car and your ability to put that thing near the front and your God-given natural talents are what matter. And your ability to change things on the fly and get used to and adapt to that car and put it near the front and showcase your sponsors and hold yourself in a high regard. That's what matters. Sponsors don't see that yet. They see the track record. They see the fact that women still are unproven in most sports, in most forms of motorsports, I should say. I think we're going to see the 100th and 101st victory for a woman in NHRA drag racing very, very soon. We'll see what happens. Thanks for listening. This has been the very first edition of Shifting Gears, brand new show here on ARN. I'm Alan Bailey. I want to thank you very much for listening. You can log on to arnrace.com to listen to this and other programs. And for everybody here at ARN and for Shifting Gears, which, by the way, kept the original cast, we'll see you at the track.
ARNrace.com to keep up with the latest news, photos, podcasts, and interviews from the track. You've been Shifting Gears on ARN, the American Racing Network. Broadcasting from the ARN Racing Studios in Southern California, ARN Los Angeles. This is ARN, the American Racing Network.